Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Brother Brand Ambassador Angela Wolf, and I am so excited to see you today. I am just getting back and recovering from Houston Quilt Fest, which was amazing, and it was so nice to see so many of you in person. I have to say, it's the first event since March of 2020, so I was a little unnerved. My face is still recovering from wearing a mask for 5 days, but it was worth every moment to be able to see all of you. So say hi, say where you're from. If you've never been here before, we are live streaming on Brother Sewing and Crafting Facebook and YouTube pages, and we can see all your comments. So today, I've got two fabulous guests for you. It's a Brother Ambassador Bash. That's what we should call it. I've got Laura Pifer and I have Joanne Banko. And I have a sneaking hunch you're going to get some great ideas for the holidays. And we're going to be talking about embroidery. Embroidery, applique, so many things like that. So I see all of you rolling in. Hello and welcome to the Brother Party. So we're going to start with Laura. Then Joanne's going to pop in, and then we will be sure to answer your questions as well. So let's bring up Laura. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, it's great to see you. And I can tell by your sweater that it's chilly there.
I mean, it's cold in my house. But it's not cold outside. I know I feel like a little bit stuffed up, but honestly, I live in the South, so it's 54 degrees. That's like cold for us. You know
that is cold. And by the way, it is so nice to see you. And everybody's rolling in to say hi to you. And I'm so excited for your project. I told them, I gave them a little hint that they're going to get some great ideas for the holidays.
Yes. I mean, it's going to be very brief, but because I'm sure we're all recovering from that Halloween crazy inspo time. But I definitely wanted to give you guys ideas for what I love about embroidery is that it's so easy to create gifts by just customizing like blank basics, for example. You know what I mean? So if you have an embroidery machine, I think it's a great asset to have, especially during the holidays, because people love that little like custom handmade, like custom embroidered touch to something that's practical as well. You know what I mean?
We absolutely love that. And you know what everybody's going to be really excited about is the last many weeks we have been featuring the Luminaire with my design center. And a lot of the ladies said, you know what, I don't have the Luminaire. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I should say, I don't have a Luminaire, but I still have a great Brother machine for embroidery. And so you, by the way, are going to show it on a fabulous Brother machine that is not the Luminaire. So you're going to have a lot of people really happy because they don't have that one yet. I say yet because you never know. So what machine are you going to be using today?
So I'm going to be using the Brother PE 800.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It has a 5x7 inch hoop area, so you still get kind of that larger area. It's not that big, like as big as the Luminaire, for example, but you're still going to cover a lot of area, and it's just a normal 5x7 inch hoop. But I also would love that Luminaire as well. So I feel like there's two sides.
It's definitely the bucket list for many. So show them what you're going to be working on today.
Well, I just want to show you. So my sons they're all in school, and teachers, like I'm always thinking about teachers' gifts and things that would just kind of brighten their holidays as well, because they're such great parts of the community for our children. And I mean, my kids are with them more than I am right now during the school
year. Speaking of holidays, I had to pull out my Santa cup today because I'm like, it's ready for
see, and then or even like you could do fun coffee cups, but I wanted to do like something where I could gift them that would keep them like cozy during the holidays, like Christmas vacation, for example, but add a little custom touch to it. So I made these cute little, you can get a pre-made blanket, obviously, and I still have the tag on it because I'm gonna give this obviously as a gift. And then in the corner, it'll be when it lays over like a couch, for example, this would be the corner. The way it's wrapped looks different. But I did the laurel, I did the laurel wreath, and then you do the name, like the monogram, and then the name.
I love that, Laura. What a great idea. I love the way you put it on the corner. I would have never thought of that. So when you drape it over the couch, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I'm going to show you how I did it I just did it in the middle for this one, but I like doing it in the corner because, like, if it folds, it is on the couch and monogram nicely and evenly, but you really could do them wherever.
Excellent. All right. So
also, I was going to share really quickly too, like what I love about embroidery during the holidays is you can make fun little like sweatshirt. So I did this cute one for my son, and it says, it's from the movie Home Alone, "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal."
Oh, that's so funny. So, by the way, that's not a brother product, but you all know that. And by the way, I think that is well, my nephew's 6, one of my youngest nephews. That is his favorite show ever. How old is your son now?
I have 5, 12, and 13. But I mean, Home Alone never gets old. But also, all those Christmas movies, like you could even customize them with words like merry, like I did this one, merry and bright.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and just fun, like, because during the holidays, I mean, you're kind of in little sweatshirts and hoodies, and and then I made this cute one too.
Let's see.
Happy fall, y'all.
That's great. I like the pumpkins.
Yeah, aren't those cute? And you can get embroidery. They have so many options for cute little designs.
So a couple things you just mentioned. I was going to say those are larger designs, and you still did that in your machine. And yes. Some of you are asking, where did she get the designs? And she just told you, embroidery.com, and I'll bring that website up for you too. They have a ton of designs in there.
Yeah, you could get a lot from embroidery. I'll go around a little bit to different sites, but most of the stuff I'll find on embroidery. And, I'll hoop things. Like if I want a larger hoop area to cover, sometimes I'll do, like, for example, this one, I did several parts. You know what I mean? So I hooped the first part, and then I did the second part. So I could get a more wider hoop area. And you could do that as well. You know what I mean?
I love that, Laura.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. So
everyone's saying they can't wait to see how you did this.
Oh, okay. It's super easy. So I already actually hooped it because we only have 30 minutes. But if you want me to show you that, I could always do that briefly. The key is using a really good stabilizer when you're doing like blankets. So this is a water soluble, like it's like the clear kind. You know what I'm talking about? This one where it's like clear. And it's a brother product.
Yeah, like the water topper.
Yes, it's a water topper. And this one you can use on the back as well. Now, I would suggest this one on the back as well. So I put this on the back and then the top, because like this fluffy Sherpa material it's hard to sometimes get like the tearaway away from it sometimes. And this one just comes right off.
Oh, so, wonderful.
Or you could just use a normal tearaway. But yeah, now I'm just going to bring you guys out. So it's called, I don't know the exact name of it because it doesn't really have the name on it.
I'll look it up for you, but it is a brother product. So.
Yeah, I'll give you the model number, but this is a good one to have, especially for even sweatshirts. You put this on top of a sweatshirt as well.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to swap over to the embroidery machine. If you give me 1 second, because I'm going to have to move the computer.
All right.
Okay.
I will see you in a second. All right. So while she's changing, she's moving back to the room. Let's bring Joanne to the party because I know she's been watching this too. Hi, Joanne. I cannot hear you. There you are.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Sorry about that. All of a sudden, my one screen disappeared and another one popped up. So I had to fix that. Hey, everybody. I'm back.
I don't know if you saw what was on. I hear a little echo, but I don't know if you saw what Laura was bringing up, but I love the idea of monograms, and you are big into monograms. In fact, I still have a beautiful card that you sent me. You make the most unique, customized embroidery, and I think this is going to be perfect. So I know you're going to be showing us here at the end of the show more embroidery ideas for everyone.
I do love monograms, though. I really think that an embroidery machine purchase just for using it to make monograms would be worth the price. For sure. There are businesses out there that's all they do is monograms. They specialize in that. So
during the holidays, they make a lot of money because a lot of people want something customizable. So I think Laura's ready. So I just want to bring her back up here. Laura, we can see you.
Is it nice and bright or is it hard to see?
Nope, it looks great.
All right, so I already set it up. I did the topper, and then the monogram is everything's right here. All these are embroidery, or the laurel wreath is embroidery, and then I just use my built-in lettering to do the P and then the Pifer. Now I already did the laurel wreath because I didn't want you guys to just sit there and watch it and for 10 minutes. So now we'll start Pifer. And we could always chit chat while we do this too.
I love this.
Oh, and it's just, they turn out so nice with the gold thread. This is Brothers, their metallic thread right here.
Oh, now that's interesting because, we were just talking about metallic thread actually over the weekend. A lot of people were saying they love that for the holidays. And actually, Jerry Granado, who's a brother educator, he loves metallic thread and it looks so beautiful. And people say, is it hard to embroider with? And it obviously not so much the way you're making it look.
This one, this is the only thread, and maybe because it is made by Brother as well, that will work in my Brother machine.
Brother and brother.
I won't use anyone else because it'll just break or it gets all knotted up. So it definitely is a great metallic thread.
Joanne, do you like working with metallic thread?
I do. I think it adds a really, really special touch to a lot of your projects. I like to add it, in like small doses. I think if you use it sometimes, if you have a design that's multicolored and you use it everywhere, it kind of loses its flavor somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Just my opinion. So I like to add, and silver and gold. Oh my, I love them. And I love them together. They look beautiful together.
And they do. Actually, brother, I love silver and gold as well. But I have to say pink is my favorite. And brother has a beautiful pink metallic thread. Laura, have you tried the pink yet? It works good too.
I actually have, but I agree. I like, sorry if it's really loud.
No, it's actually really quiet.
I'm trying to mute it sometimes so if you guys are talking. But I actually do love the pink as well. We did a really cute bag once. It was like a little clutch. I'll have to send you the photo. And it was all of Brothers metallic threads, and the pink one, the gold one, the silver one, all of them. So I have about 2 more minutes for the P, and then I'll show you how you tear this stuff off.
And I'm seeing Arnell says, so you don't have to stand the metallic thread upright, not the brother thread. I usually always have all my thread on top spools, but this works great. And it's a smaller spool.
Oh, like this right here?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So when you say top spool, do you mean it's like upright?
Yeah, but you don't have that on your machine.
Yeah.
I have it on the Luminaire with the 2 stands in the back. It's just a habit, how I always do it. But I love that you're showing this because I think a lot of people are nervous about metallic thread.
Yeah, this one, it works like a dream in your brother machine.
It really, when you have that winding like that on a regular spool, I always say those spools are lazy. They'd rather lay down while they're stitching. The cross wound work better from your cone holders, but those types of spools.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
I like that.
4 minutes.
What did you call it? Lazy?
Yeah, I said they're lazy. And I see Melissa has a question. What about the mesh covering for metallic thread? Can I weigh in on that?
Sure.
And I don't like to use the mesh for, it's a net. It's like a hair net. And some people think it helps it wind off more evenly and more smoothly. But if you've ever had that net catch on the thread and start to travel through your machine, you're going to say, I don't know if I want to use this. So I love those nets for storage, but I really don't think you need them, especially with the brother metallic. And I think Laura is a perfect example of that because she doesn't have any hair net on her metallic and it's stitching like a dream.
It sure does. Thank you, Joanne. And Marcia wants to know, what needle are you using? Are you using anything special, embroidery needle or ballpoint or knit or?
You can. There is metallic needles, but I honestly just use a jeans needle all the time. I don't know. It always works. They work for like everything, in my opinion. I also have let me get the brand.
I love hearing the machine go that little ticky ticky sound, don't you?
I know. The organ needles are pretty good too. The organ needles.
Oh yeah, they're not a brother product, but yes, we got it.
But yeah, those ones work well too. But you can't go wrong with the jeans needle but you can get metallic needles.
Yes, you can. And there's also just plain embroidery needles. It's funny. I have another friend that all she uses is the number 12 universal needle for everything. Everything. I think everyone has their favorites. Joanne, do you use anything special for when you're using metallic thread?
Most of the, am I on? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I got a new mic here and I'm still getting used to it. Most of the time, again, I'm sprinkling metallic into my embroidery design. So I just stick with a 7511 embroidery needle. I don't have any issues with it. If I'm doing something that's really dense with metallic, then I might switch to a metallic needle, because the more that needle has, and more it's going into the fabric and back into metallic thread, the more chance it has to be a little bit more finicky. But most of the time, it's not a problem.
Oh, Laura.
So I'm going to swap over
Wow.
again. I'll move over really quick, Joanne, so I'll show them how you tear it away and stuff.
That
was fast.
I know.
Yeah, let me, and then all you do is you just tear it. This stabilizer is awesome. I mean, obviously I need to cut the jump thread.
I think Velvet wants to know if you used anything on the back.
Oh yes, I did a tearaway. Now, if I had like this one, if a medium tearaway stabilizer, if I would have, like, if I had the Sherpa, I probably would have done this as well. So you could do any tearaway. You could do a water soluble. I just sometimes don't want to get them wet, especially if they're gifts. But yeah, you just tear it away. Look at how pretty. And
that looks wonderful. I love that, Laura.
And Lois is commenting on how easily the hoop moved with all that bulky fabric in there. And the arms are so strong.
Yeah, this machine is amazing. The P800, like, if you want to get into embroidery, I highly suggest this one, because you can do apparel, you can do heavier blankets, jeans, denim, anything, and it still works just like a industrial machine.
Yes.
Or I'm going to transfer over to the machine or the other spot. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll take you out here for a second. Josie, you're hilarious. I was laughing because everyone always says, you've got the biggest mugs. And, that's kind of like a tradition now that my sisters give me these larger mugs for every birthday, Christmas, holiday, anything. I will look up. Somebody wanted to know exactly what stabilizer it was. I'll have her give us the number on there so you can find that. I think she said she has the item number on the back of the page. So Joanne, I love that thing on your wall. I mean, it's a machine, but it's not a thing. It's a sewing machine, but it's so cute.
Yeah, and then I got a little, you know what? I should show this up close, because this is really neat. I have 3 sisters, and not a one of them can sew a stitch. I mean, literally, can't even sew a button on. Okay, they're all like totally not needle.
Look at that.
So one of my sisters gave me this as a birthday gift one year, and it's just a shadow box with all kinds of cool little sewing things in it. And I just love it. I absolutely love it. So that's what's hanging up over there. I like to switch out my things. I don't have a lot of wall space, and I have a lot of things I'd like to hang on the wall. So I move things around a little bit.
I like that. I move things around too. Like every day. All right, Laura, I see you up here. Hi.
Hi. So I was just kind of trying to cut the jump stitches, but then you have this cute, really pretty gold custom embroidery. Obviously, I would, these are so easy. Even the little parts right here, all you do is just tear this. I love that stabilizer. I've never found anything like it. And then
that's good stuff.
Part. Yeah, and then it's super easy. And then I did, for the backing, I did this one just because I didn't want to waste that one, but the same thing, you just tear it.
Very easy to do. And I'm glad you're showing that, because some people who are new to embroidery, they're like, what am I going to do with that big thing on the back? And you just tear it off. Tear away. There's so many different stabilizers. And if you're new to embroidery, I suggest you get a little bundle package, maybe from one of your brother dealers, and experiment with each one, and you'll find your favorite for each project.
That's true. I feel like you use what works best for you. It's very it's everyone's different when it comes to stabilizer. And it took me a while to figure it out. You know what I mean? I thought I had to use heavy cutaway stabilizer for everything. And like you said, you're like, oh, a blanket, I don't want some big old, or even a sweatshirt. You don't always want something on the back, you know what I mean, or the inside.
Right.
So these options are great. And then I know someone asked, she's gonna get the number, but this was the stabilizer. This is the packaging. It's a Brother stabilizer. It's SA520.
I'm going to put that in the comments. SA520.
Yes. And then here was this is Pace Setter. This is the one I used on the back. I use this one a lot. This one is the medium weight tearaway stabilizer.
All right, let me put that in the comments here.
Right.
What's the number on that?
This one is SA5810.
5810.
And yeah, what I love, I wanted to actually show you guys how to make this, like this little holder. You know how people do that, and then it's kind of cute to gift wrap. Maybe the next one we will do that. But yeah, then look at how cute that is for little teachers' gifts.
That's really cute. I'm going to make you larger. So you actually made that. I thought it came like that. You made that?
Oh, this did come like this. This thing came with the blanket.
Gotcha.
But I was like, I want to make a bunch for the other teachers, you know what I mean? And I was like, I should just make this and you could even do like a plaid ribbon almost, or even a plaid, some sort of wrapping, and make it super cute, but it's still a little holder. Now I positioned it was in the center, but I positioned it so that was in the middle, just so you could see it. But yeah, it's just fun. Embroidery is just great for gifts. I feel like you can really get anything and customize it and make it a gift. You know what I mean?
I agree. And no pressure, but that's what we want you to do next before the holidays, so we can wrap our blankets after we do that. So job until you come on next month is to do the embroidery, and then you come back and show us how to do the wrap.
Yeah, and I think this would be easy. But I was even thinking on the Brother blog, like Emily showed how to make the blanket, that like cozy Sherpa blanket, and she did it in such a simple way. So you could even make a blanket and then embroider it, and then you can make everything homemade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea.
That way you get exactly what you want. You get the colors you want. That's the other wonderful thing about being able to make it yourself. I say, make it yourself and make it better.
That's so true. Like, especially when I was learning to sew, I'd be like, I wanted to sew because I would say, I want that, but in this color or this fabric. You know what I mean? Or just a little bit different sleeve. So yeah, there's definitely different, You
just made me think of something. I had this conversation with my mom recently, and I said, Mom, when did I start sewing? And she said, well, I'll tell you why she started sewing for me, because I was so finicky about what I wanted to wear. And there was this outfit in the store that I had to have. I think she said I was like 3, maybe, or 4. I obviously don't remember this. And so she said, she waited. Then she bought it. She said it was an expensive outfit. And then I went to wear it. I wore it once and I was like, I don't like this anymore. And she said, that's it. I'm sewing for you. And you're going to learn how to sew too. Best thing she ever did.
Yeah. Wow. It's definitely a good thing. And even then I think about, like, for my boys, if I want to take something in or hem, just practical sewing. Like I can fix, mend things, take things up, take things in, hem things. It's very essential for stuff like that.
Definitely.
So Marcy wants to know where you got the design, and Elizabeth wants to know, how did you center the name?
Oh, okay. So these designs, this Laurel wreath is from iBroidery, and I will give that to Angela. She can link it. It had other designs in it, but I loved the Laurel wreath, so I just kind of skipped those parts. You know what I mean? And then you centered the design on the touch screen on the Brother machine. Mine makes it so easy. My PE 800, they have the little arrows, and all you do is move it. And I create all of my designs, even if they're separate, all right there on the screen. I know some people have like different software and stuff that they can create their embroidery patterns from. I always do it on the touch screen. It's just so easy for me. Oh yeah, and so you center the name just right there as well. So everything is just done on the touch screen.
And Sharon says, please, please, please come back and show how to use that wrap. So
you guys, it's so easy. It's literally 2 straps. I mean, I could just show you right now. it's like 2 straps and then Velcro right down here. And then they just added a handle right here on the top.
Perfect.
Wouldn't that be great for sporting events?
Yeah, right?
Oh.
Or just, yeah, like, so you're not always just carrying around some big old blanket. But I'll make a little tutorial for that for you guys. It's very simple.
Perfect. All right, Joanne, I know you're going to be showing some embroidery too. It kind of ties in with what we're doing. Were you going to also work on applique or embroidery? I can't remember.
Embroidered applique. Embroidered applique.
Woo! We got it both. So what are you going to show us?
Yep. Well, I've been playing around with some fall fabrics, getting in the mood. It takes me a little while to get in the mood for fall. I don't know about you, but I'm like you, Angela. I love summer, and when it starts to go away, I'm like, oh. But anyway, fall is
it's windy and chilly, and it dropped to 40 degrees, so my summer went gone like that.
I know it happens. It happens so fast. But these kind of things, just really do kind of get you in the mood when you start playing around with these colors because they're so beautiful. And when we were together the last time, we got a little bit into talking about taming texture. And one of the ways that I use to tame texture is to create an applique instead of embroidering directly on the fabric. So you think about like something like this. This is a waffle weave towel.
Now say that fast 3 times.
These are so popular and really they're great. They're great towels for your kitchen and they're really absorbent and everything, but they're bumpy. They're really, really, really bumpy. And I have not found very many embroidery designs that would successfully embroider on this. Sometimes it'll work if it's got a lot of fill and not a lot of open space, and it'll really kind of, mash it down. Or you can use some other techniques. You can use a knockdown stitch. You can do things like that. But we did have a request for applique. So I want to show applique two different ways with a few other little twists in between. The first one I want to show is going to be how to do it directly on a Brother machine that has applique function, because there are quite a few models that have been out. Certainly the Luminaire has that feature. I'm going to be working on the Luminaire and showing you that. But then I want to show you an applique way that you can create with any Brother machine. I don't care. Any single solitary Brother embroidery machine will do this second variety of applique. So if you don't have the Luminaire and you don't have applique function on your Brother machine, stick with me because I'm going to show you both ways.
Wonderful.
All right. You ready for me to go over to the machine?
I am.
Go ahead and give me a minute to.
Oops, I didn't mean to like take you out. Sorry about that.
Okay. I'm going over to my camera.
Yeah.
Well,
You guys.
I was just going to say, should I leave the studio?
Oh, I can take you out. I have a quick question for you though that came up.
For sure.
Where did it go? Was it good? Oh, somebody was asking about your machine and they wanted to know. So you can put 2 different designs together in there, or did you put one and then embroider and then put another and then embroider?
Yes, that's what I love about the Brother P800. Because that's what my old machine used to do. This one, yes, you can add designs all together on the touch screen. So wonderful. I can go in and just add and create like my own basically design.
Wonderful.
Does that make sense?
It sure does. Thanks, Laura.
All right. I'm going to watch on the But Leave Studio. So thanks for having me.
Oh, great to see you. Everyone, give Laura some love before we have Joanne come on. And we already have your next project for you, so no pressure.
I'll try and do some maybe a cool plaid or something like that with a bow.
That sounds wonderful. Laura, have a great day. Say hi to the boys.
I'll be watching.
Bye, Laura.
Bye.
All right, Joanne, let's see what you have here.
So I'm going to mostly just show the screen. So that's really all you're going to need to see.
Okay.
We need to see the hoop. I'll show you the hoop. So does the screen look pretty good? You're
It looks
also seeing my mess on the side here, you know, like I got a lot going on in here, just like a lot of you do in your sewing space. So ignore all that and focus right here, okay?
That sounds good.
All right, so applique function. Applique function in the Brother machine allows you to do a couple different things. First of all, it will allow you to do an applique patch, like the one you see here. Let me get that a little bit closer and let me get a little more light on it so you can see it. Okay.
Oh, that's cute,
So
Joanne.
that one is ready for me to finish, and I will show you how I finish that. But before I do that, I want to show you how I started it. Okay. So I'm going to go through all the steps. Let me get my piece here that's all right. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to go to the screen and I'm going to go to my memory pocket where
you're back.
I have
For 1 sec there, Joanne. So you're back.
okay. I might have bumped something. So I'm going to go to the embroidery screen and I'm going to select this design that I got from embroidery.com. Okay. So you can see that pretty good. Should I zoom in a little?
Yeah, just actually we can see it pretty good. No worries.
Okay. All right. Very good. It'll get bigger when I get to preview. So I'm going to set that design and I am going to go to edit and I'm going to touch this applique icon. So it looks like a shield with a crown in the middle. And if you have applique function built into your Brother machine, this is what you're going to see. If you don't see that, then you don't have that option built into your machine. Of course, there are other ways. The Simply Applique software, PE Design, BES, they all do applique, and then we could save that for another day because that would take some time. But this one is built right in the machine, so you don't have to go to your computer. It's all right there. And when we touch this, what's going to happen is it's going to tell the machine that we want to create like I said, an applique patch, or you'll see you can do an applique directly on an item as well. But we're going to go with the just kind of the patch theory here to start with. And with the patch theory, it means it's going to make a freestanding piece that you could then apply to anything you want in any way you want. You could stitch it on, you could glue it on, you could fuse it on. And this technique is ideal when you have those unusual items that you just can't seem to find a way to open them up and stitch on them, or you just have, things that are heavy and bulky. I mean, you could put these on your wall if you wanted to. You could use them on your bulletin board. There's all kinds of things. But when you select that icon, what it does is it automatically traces the shape of your design. So you can see it's just literally surrounded my entire design. And that's what it's supposed to do. Now, if you saw my little sample here, you saw that I did this as an oval. So I want to show you that option as well. So if you wanted to do it this way and have it literally trace whatever shape, whatever embroidery design you create, and this can be any design. It could be a design you bring in from your computer. It could be a design you create in the machine. It could be a combination. It could be an outside source. You can literally take almost any design and create an applique. Your only limitation is the space surrounding it. So I wonder if anyone has ever tried this and the machine said, no, I can't do that for you. And you wondered, like, why? Well, it needs room to create that shape around. So that means you also might at times need to upsize your hoop. So pay attention to that. If your design is close to the limits of your hoop size, you would need then to make sure that that you're following those guidelines. Now you can see here that I can actually change the distance, so I can increase that, and I can make that so that more fabric shows, because that's essentially what we're doing. We'll be doing this on a base of fabric. I did mine just on a simple piece of felt here to start with, but you can see if I wanted more of the fabric to show, I would just simply increase that distance and I would get more fabric around my design. Does that make sense to everybody?
I think it does. Everybody's saying Well, they're not asking questions, so it must make sense.
Okay,
But ask
all right.
the question.
I'm going to go back now to the default here, which you can see when it turns, oops, easy to go too far. When it turns black there, when it's highlighted, that tells me that that is the average ordinary. I think this will work. You'll probably be okay with this setting. You know, our machines are so smart. They always make up their mind for us. And you know, that's very, very helpful. And by the way, you'll find this feature on multi-needles as well. And you may even find some extra bells and whistles in that particular case. All right, so I'm going to say, okay. And I'm actually going to ungroup it. And I'm going to select that outside applique, and I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I want to show you how I created. So I like to use this feature a lot because sometimes your shape looks good with the, the automatic tracing around it, but sometimes it's a little too uneven or a little too awkward looking, and you want it to be, more symmetrical. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to add, and I'm going to go to my frame shapes, and I'm going to select an oval, and I'm going to select just the absolute ordinary plain straight stitch outline. Okay, because I don't want anything fancy. I just want to use that shape so that the applique is going to see what the shape I wanted, to outline is. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resize this because I need that oval to be a little bigger. Let me preview that so you can see. So you can see that a little bit better. And you see how that oval isn't quite large enough for what I need?
That looks really good, Joanne.
It's a pretty design though, isn't it? I love that Indian corn. So I'm going to resize. Just bump that up a little bit. And I think I wrote on my cheat sheet exactly what size I wanted. I want it to be about 2.5 by about 3.5. And I'm going to bump that up just a little bit so it's not quite so close to the lettering. Again, I love my preview feature because I'm going to be able to see in realistic preview exactly what this is going to look like when it's stitched out. Okay. All right. So I am ready now to go ahead and go back to my applique and watch what happens. Look at that. It actually traced that oval perfectly. Now, it again took the default measurement, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I'm not going to stitch that straight stitch oval. And that was the one that I outlined around my design and sized so it was a perfect fit. So I'm going to go ahead now and change the distance, and I'm going to bring that closer until it actually just touches the outline, and basically now you're not going to see it. Okay, so I'm going to preview that again so you can see that up close, and you can see what that did. So you can just barely see that black outline. I am not going to stitch that. Okay. Do you have any questions coming in?
Someone just wanted to know, does it matter? Could you bring the shape in first? Does it matter what order you do all of this?
You want to bring the shape in last, because if you saw what it did, it actually looked at just the shape, not the embroidery design. So if you're doing it that way, that's what you want to do. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. So again, I'm just going to grab a light here so I can show you this a little bit better. But you can see I have already stitched the design up to, I'm going to go ahead and go show you what point I got to. Okay. I'm going to go to my fast forward and rewind where I can scroll through the stitches. And you're going to see I've got all the colors that I've gone through. Okay. And it does the embroidery design first. That's another reason why kind of obviously the applique needs to be there at the end. But I'm going to go all the way through all those colors. And I want you to see there's the black outline. I would skip that. Okay. I don't want to stitch that. I just used it to create my shape. So I'm going to go past that. So if you were stitching, you just go past that. And what I want you to see is it created with the applique function 3 new stitch lines. The first one is applique material. and I'll explain what these are in a minute. The second one is applique position. And the third one is applique. All right, so let's go backwards and I'll explain each one. Applique material is actually showing you where the, where your fabric needs to be when you do the applique. So this is common with appliques. It basically shows you how much fabric you need. So if you were doing this on a separate piece, you would know that once you stitch that placement line, that you need to cover it with fabric. That would be traditional applique. So in this case, it's also given me then the cut line. So again, I'm going to just shine the light on this so that you can see it. Okay. So you can see that it's stitched that outline. Now, if I'm going to use this as an applique on fabric, I've got a step that I need to do now. I need to take this out of the hoop.
Joanne, hold on
and
one
while
second.
I'm doing that,
Joanne, I don't know if you can hear me for a sec, but you did freeze for a second. Could you just repeat what you just said? Just that last little blurb right there.
Okay, so what I need to do is one more step now once I take this out of the hoop.
Okay.
Before I put it on my towel.
Okay, wonderful.
Got it? Okay. And while I'm doing that step, I'm going to actually explain a little bit more about prepping your fabric. So if you look at what I've done, I have actually taken interfacing and I have put interfacing on the back of my, this is a cotton linen blend. And I recommend anytime you do applique, for me personally, I always add interfacing to my fabric. It just gives it the crispness that you need to hold the shape of the stitches and the shape of the actual applique. Okay. So I also usually add a layer of tearaway stabilizer, same thing that Laura used for her project. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and tear that away. And I'm going to be a little bit gentle with it because I don't want to distort my fabric. You're going to see in a minute, I'm going to need that shape to pretty much stay the same. Now, in this case, I might just go ahead and tear away from the outline. But if you have a design where you want to get rid of more of your stabilizer, go ahead and pull that away. And I won't be too fussy on it this time. I'll leave a little bit of that in there because the next step is I'm going to need to cut out this shape. Okay, so I'm going to take my handy dandy curve tip scissors and I want to show you one of my favorite tricks if you're doing any applique with curved edges or intricate areas. What I like to do is I call it like slicing it like a pie, and I snip up to the stitching line. You see what I'm doing there?
Yeah, we can see that. Great.
Okay. It's a little hard when you're holding it in front of the camera and trying to look at what you're doing at the same time. Usually we do this stuff. Usually I do this in my lap when I'm sitting down. All right. So now I'm going to be able to get in there a little bit easier, and I'm going to trim right outside the stitching line. Now, you do need to be a little careful when you do this. And I know you've had lots of programs where you've had some great educators and ambassadors showing you how to do this with your scan and cut. And there are, like I said, there's just so many different ways. But this doesn't require anything but your machine to do this. So I love to use the other options when I need to and when it fits my project. But I wanted to show you a simple way today. So see how that makes it easier. I'm not dealing with all that bulk of fabric at one time. And I can
that does make it easier. Hey, Joanne, Shirley just has a quick question for you.
Sure.
You mentioned that fabric was a linen and cotton blend, and I know Edna wanted to know that in case she missed that. But Shirley wants to know what kind of interfacing are you using? Oh,
great question. Shirley, I'm using the same kind of interfacing that I would normally use for shirt cuffs and collars. So you can find it, in the fabric store, and it'll actually say that that's what it's used for. That's my favorite interfacing to use for applique when I need to beef up the fabric a little bit. Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. So the next step is designed for me to have my fabric that I want to applique onto prepared and already in the hoop. So I've got a tea towel here, and I've got it already centered. I could have done this in my 4x4 hoop because that's what I used for the patch, but I don't have 6 4x4 hoops laying around. So I switched up to a 6x6 just to show you this step, but everything could have been done in a 4x4. And this actually is a perfect example of when you would want to do this type of thing. If you're doing it on a terry cloth towel, it's going to completely cover the nap of the fabric, and we're not going to have to worry about any of that texture peeking through. So that's why this is an ideal technique for that. In the case of my tea towel, I just don't want to have, you know, all those stitches showing on the wrong side. So with an applique, you're going to see when I'm done, I'm going to only have a very simple outline. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch the next step.
I think we just lost
which
Joanne.
is a matching outline.
You're back.
We got some weather issues today, so you might be.
Jane, I was laughing. Jane, I was reading your comment, and it's, you gotta love spell check. She said she grew Joanne. I'm like, what is that? She meant I agree. So, Joanne, Sharon wants to know: do you use an iron-on interfacing to your on all your applique fabrics, or just?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I'm a big believer in, even with stabilizer, as much as possible, having your stabilizer or your interfacing completely bonded to your fabric, so they act as one. You have much less chance of shifting and rippling. And I see Marcy's asking again what the interfacing was. Just go and find out what they would recommend for shirt cuffs and collars. So there is an actual name for it. It's not a Brother product, obviously, but there's a name for it, and it will say the word, part of the word shirt, right in the interfacing name. So that'll give you, it gives you a little clue there. Okay.
Collars and cuffs.
Exactly. Exactly. So now at this point, I would need to take my patch that I've created, okay, that's partially finished. Got a little thread tail here. Let me clip that. And I would need to match up the outline that I cut, and that's why it's the exact same outline, with the outline that I just stitched. So I'm going to show you the outline I stitched. You can see that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, perfect match. Okay. And pop that back on. Now I need to secure this piece to that. So there's a few different ways you could do this. You could put a fusible bonding agent on the back of this at this point. So, you know, the fusible webbing that we use, that type of thing. And you could iron it. You know, there are different ways that you can, you know, take your hoop off and put it on certain pads and iron it down. For today, I'm just going to use a little bit of a glue stick. You could use fabric glue, just something to get that a little bit tacky. You could also use temporary adhesive spray, which I love using that too.
I like that too. I try not, I usually try to take it outside though, because it smells so bad. I mean, it doesn't, any little itsy bitsy smell bothers me. So it really doesn't smell that bad. It just smells.
I do the exact same thing, Angela. I've been in classrooms where they were using it, and I have literally had to go outside like to get fresh air. All right. So I'm going to take this off just so that you can see that I have matched that up pretty good. I might not be perfect today because I'm reaching in front of that camera, but you want to match that outline. Okay. If it's a teeny bit larger, that's okay, because the very last step, as you can see on the screen, is what we call the applique. That's the actual finishing stitch. So I'm going to put that back in, and I'm using brown thread.
Are you using anything special in the bobbin?
Just regular bobbin thread in the bobbin.
Do you use the same color? Does it matter?
No, unless you wanted to. If you wanted to have it look a little prettier, it's a great question on the opposite side of your towel, then you might want to do that.
All
So
right.
this is actually doing what's called the tack down stitch. And if you purchase applique designs, and you don't do as I say, not as I'm doing. I've got my finger a little bit over there. What I will often use is a chopstick, just if I need to hold that fabric down a little bit while it's stitching in the hoop. But you want to just make sure that everything just lays nice and smooth. And that's really why I like using the either the fusible or the temporary adhesive spray, because that will secure that really, really nicely. So it's
Joanne,
now going to go ahead and do the satin stitch.
Would it be possible to move the camera that way just a little bit so we could see it embroidering?
So
Oh, awesome. There we go.
very good. I didn't know it was going to be that easy.
Oh, that
All right.
looks nice.
While that's stitching, why don't you go ahead and show you a couple more things. Let me change my camera.
Hey, Joanne, now.
That way.
Oh, there you are. You're back. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Hey, there was a couple questions on your application. Oh, when you choose that design, that outline, is it possible to change the stitch width for your satin stitches? Can you make it wider, or is it just exactly what it is?
That's a great question, but everything is preset. So
okay.
You can do that in software, but on the machine, again, the machine is, remember this, when they build things into your machine, obviously there's a lot in there. So it's just like our brains. There's only so much room in there for all the information to go. So sometimes the things that we would say, well, why didn't they do this? And why didn't they do that? It's just because the brain, can only be so big in order to take all that in. But remember, the whole thing about using features that are built into your machine is everything is streamlined. You just, sit in front of your machine, boop, 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 and you're good to go. So it's designed to be a little bit more streamlined and just a little bit easier. And that, that might mean that you don't maybe have as many options for changing things.
So I think Jane might, I'm just going to guess here, but I think Jane is thinking that you only used stabilizer, fusible stabilizer, and no embroidery stabilizer. So do you want to just make that clear for her?
A great question, Jane. Yes. When I do applique, with that interfacing basically acts as my stabilizer. And then I'll add the one layer of tearaway. I actually use the Brother, they call it medium weight, but it's really a little bit kind of lighter. It's not, but that's their terminology for it. So I will add that just as a little, a little extra insurance, basically.
Joanne, so it's medium weight. I'm going to put this in the comments for them. What's the number?
This is,
I think it's the same thing that Laura was using.
It's the same thing. Yeah. Yep. It's the same thing. Because they do make a heavy one, but quite honestly, I don't use the heavy one hardly at all. What I love about this particular weight is this is SA 5810. What I love about this one is it's soft enough that it can be hooped with your fabric, and any other tearaway that is stiff really is a problem if you hoop it with your fabric, because your fabric can move away from it and buckle, and that can cause your stitches to not register properly. Okay.
That makes sense.
How did I make sure where I wanted it to go on a towel? Great question, Kathy. I would mark it as if I was marking it for the actual embroidery design. So I mark my center point and I line up my center point with the center point in the hoop. If you have extra bells and whistles on your machine, you can, use the projector, you can use the snowman, you can use the scan, or on any other standard Brother machine, you would just use your arrows and move it until your needle points right to the crosshairs of that.
That makes sense.
Okay? And Barb says you can change the stitch width if you bring in the shape in my design center. Yeah, my design center has completely other options and other properties.
Bye, Lisa. Right. She said she loves your jacket.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back again so that you can see. Oh, actually, no, I don't have to switch. Let me not do that. I could show you this way. Think about that.
Oh, there.
So there it is, all done. And you can see it did a beautiful satin stitch all the way around there. And on the back, all I have is that right there. So again, if you wanted to wind that bobbin with matching thread to match your needle, you'd have something that looks nice and neat on the wrong side as well as the right side. Okay?
Definitely. And Barb, yes, great idea. You can also change the stitch width on that if you bring it into my design center. So thanks, Barb.
Yep. You have, like I said, really, I could probably do a half a day seminar on applique if we wanted to cover every way that you could applique with all of our brother tools. You know, there's just a lot of different ways. This just uses kind of that simple applique key. So let me show you if we wanted to create this as a pitch. Since you've already seen the process here, you can imagine what it is when I explain it to you. Because what we would do to create a freestanding patch that we could then apply, and certainly we could do that on the towel if we wanted nothing on the back at all, we could have made a freestanding patch out of that and simply, fused it on or straight stitched it on or zigzagged or whatever we want to do. But if we want to turn this into an actual patch, like what you buy in packages, and you could do this, like I said, with any embroidery design, we would go through the same process I showed. I did this one just on felt. Felt is great if you're making things that maybe you want to, just do a quickie and it's not going to live a long life. Not something you could turn this into a gift tag. You could use it as napkin rings, all kinds of different things. So things that maybe you're not going to use over and over again, you might want to, consider doing it on felt. Some other fabrics that you could consider doing it on if you want to do a freestanding is duck cloth or canvas. That's another great choice if you want to create patches. So all of these are those stiffer fabrics that you find. And in this case, I know somebody's going to ask, do you still add interfacing? Yes, I do. I could get away with a little lighter weight, a little lighter variety, but the shirt type doesn't harm this at all. It just makes it nice and firm. Denim is another great base for creating the applique patch style. Okay. So what we would do to finish that off, we would hoop now instead of a towel or another piece of fabric, we would hoop water soluble stabilizer. We would stitch that oval on there. We would do the same thing with making this sticky, and we would match that oval to this oval to that oval. It would do that satin stitching all around, just like you saw it do on the towel. And when we were done, we would simply dissolve this all away in warm water, and we would have a freestanding patch with a finished satin edge. Does that make sense to everybody?
It sure does.
Easy.
Absolutely. Hey, Joanne, I see that you're in here, and I know you missed the beginning, so you want to go back and watch. No, the design came from, did your design come from you came from my embroidery?
That came from my embroidery.
And at the beginning, Joanna, there was another design that Laura had that was from my embroidery, and they were not in my design center. So I knew you would be happy about that because you don't have that. So she's always like, could you show me something else too? So I hope you like this episode. So yeah, it came from iBroidery.com.
So now really quick, I just want to show you the method that I said will work on any brother machine. All right. So I'm going to back over to
just a couple of quick minutes because our hour is up.
Very, very, very quick. So I'm going to switch over to the other camera.
Okay.
Okay. Quick switcheroo here. And I'm going to go back home. And I'm going to go to embroidery. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, we sure can.
All right. And I would go ahead and I would use a frame shape to create an applique. So I'm just going to choose a heart. I'm going to choose a straight stitch like I did before. Okay. This stitches out in 1 minute. I'm going to go ahead and add to that the same frame shape, same heart, same size, but in a satin stitch. Okay, so we're going to go to embroidery. I want to show you just the first step. And while that's stitching, I will show you, to prove to you, the finished product of what this is going to look like. What I'm doing with a frame shape is I'm actually stitching a straight stitch, and I'm going to be able then to layer a piece of fabric on top of that. I would then trim it away while it's still in the hoop, and then my last stitch would be the satin stitch that would completely finish that off. So does that make sense to everybody?
It sure does. That is so cute too, Joanne.
So I'll switch back over and I'll show you the finished piece for that.
All right, while she's switching, if you have any last minute questions, be sure to bring those up here. Let me see, you just froze. I know you'll come right back.
It's really easy to explain, because once I stitch that straight stitch, I would put this on there. I would stitch that straight stitch again and then trim all the excess fabric away. And then it would finish off with the satin stitch, and I would end up with this.
I love that, Joanne.
So
that is so cute.
You could do that with all of your frame shapes. Just remember, you select the straight, plain, ordinary straight stitch first. Then you select the satin stitch version of that same shape, and don't change the size. If you do change the size, you need to change the size exactly the same on your straight stitch shape as you do on your satin stitch shape, because then it will completely cover up that raw edge and you'll have a beautiful, beautiful applique. And of course, you could do embroidery on that applique as well. So
that sounds good. And I put the embroidery up, by the way, for all of you too, because I know some of you are like, where is that? If you're new to the party, you might not know. There are a ton of designs in embroidery.
That's it. Easy peasy, really and truly. So I hope that if you haven't tried this yet, you will.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know. And and I see a couple of you that I saw in Houston. Nice to see you again. And it was great to see you there, by the way. Esther says, thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Sharon.
You are welcome. You are welcome. We do by request, right? So if anybody has some requests, make sure you let us know. I don't have any lack of things that I'd love to show you, but it's nice to know when somebody actually wanted to see that applique feature and we were able to show it step by step and then add some extras to it.
This is awesome. Everybody says, yep, I sure understand it. And by the way, those of you that popped in late, if you're on Facebook, be sure to share this to your page, because then you can go back and watch it over and over and over as many times as you want. If you're on YouTube, you can share it they have like a little folder you can share it to watch later, or just watch it and share it with a friend.
And if you do have more questions, and if I missed anything, you know where to find me.
Yes. Oh, actually, Deborah, I read your mind. Yes, you can go watch this in just about 3 seconds when we're finished. Joanne, that was a great project. Laura also had a great project. Really fun and inspiring for embroidery, and great ways to add to something personalized coming up for some gifts, anything like that. Joanne, thank you so much. And everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. I know you could be doing a lot of things this hour, so we so appreciate you.
We sure do. Happy sewing, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone.
I'm afraid I have a confession to make. I'm actually here undercover. March, now. I came to Quilt Club to gain the knowledge and insight to help build the best collection of quilting machines Brothers made. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you I was undercover. Can you find it in your hearts to forgive me? Let's quilt.